We are somehow already in week 14 of the NFL season. And for this upcoming NFL betting slate, I have 3 player props for you guys to lock in, giving you my favorite NFL player props for the weekend. Real quick, before we get into Sunday's picks, I do need to do a recap from Thursday night football, which unfortunately was not our night. I only had one pick because I didn't love the game. Now, it ended up being more exciting than I projected, but obviously not a ton of excitement about that one. So I only had one play. We did not get that play to cash. We ended the day down one unit 0-1 on our play. That brings our total profit season to date to a profit of plus 23.94 units with an ROI of 17.22%. Obviously, ROI over 17 is incredible, so we were able to withstand just having a bad day on Thursday with only one play. Hopefully, we can get 3 of our plays to cash for Sunday. If you are not already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let's get into it. So play number 1, this is in the Lions versus Bears game. We're taking DJ Moore, 8+ receptions, plus 350 odds at FanDuel. Now, before I get into the analysis here, I will say that I did have a tough time finding pumped up props for this upcoming slate because the weather is so bad. If you look at the weather projected for the games this weekend, it's rainy and windy, which is not great for offenses. Now, for this game specifically, there could be some wind, but it's looking like it's going to be below the 15 mile per hour cutoff, which is generally, if things are above 15 miles per hour, it really affects passing, especially downfield. Hopefully it stays in that forecast and doesn't get worse. And it's not supposed to rain at all. So I'm pretty comfortable from a weather perspective. And I really do like DJ Moore in this matchup. Now, I was debating between his yards and receptions. I always struggle with that with DJ Moore, but because the winds are supposed to be exactly around 15 miles per hour, I could see this being a game in which the Bears opt to throw a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, hoping for a yak game instead of an air yards game. So that's kind of why I went with receptions. But regardless, with Justin Fields starting at quarterback, DJ Moore has been awesome. In 7 games that Fields has started and finished, DJ Moore has had 8+ receptions in 3 of those 7 games. In one game, he had 7. And another game, he had 6. So overall, his mainline reception prop is at 5.5. He's done that in 5 of 7 games, again, started and finished by Fields, which is basically just taking out the game in which he got hurt. That's pretty good. So if you just wanted to take his main line, be a little bit safer, you could do that. Obviously, we're only tracking whether he gets to 8. And looking at the matchup here, the Lions defense hasn't been good for a while now, and they are especially vulnerable through the air. The last time these two teams played, which was not that long ago, DJ Moore had 7 receptions for 96 yards. Hopefully he can just get 1 more reception than he had last time, cashing 8+ for us as our first play. Next up, second play of the slate in the Colts versus Bengals game. Zach Moss, 100+ rushing yards, plus 275 odds at DraftKings. I can honestly say this is the first time that I'll be talking about Zach Moss on this segment, but he's been great in games without Jonathan Taylor, so he's worth backing. And I think he has absolutely blow-up potential in this game against the Bengals. Now let's stick with the Bengals for a second. They are one of the worst just overall defenses in the NFL, but they're specifically and especially bad at defending the run. According to the DVOA, they are the 6th worst defense in the NFL. Just straight up, they're the 6th worst. But when you isolate specifically to rushing versus passing defense, they are the 4th worst defense when it comes to defending the run. Over the last month, they're allowing 110 rushing yards per game. That's the 9th most in the NFL in that span. Now, last week, the last game that the Bengals played, ETN had a quiet game, only 45 rushing yards. But prior to that, Najee Harris had 99 against them, and Jalen Warren had 49. So basically 150 yards to the Steelers' 2 running backs. A couple weeks prior to that, Devin Singletary got to 150 against the Bengals, which is crazy. So the reason why we are targeting Zach Moss in this specific game is because Jonathan Taylor's out, and he's going to get 95% of the carries. In games that Jonathan Taylor has missed, Zach Moss is averaging over 21 rushing attempts per game. That includes a game in which he had 30. They're not shy to just continually run the ball, even with Zach Moss and not their star running back, Jonathan Taylor. On the year, Zach Moss has cleared 100 rushing yards in only 2 games, but keep in mind, Taylor has played in the majority of games. In the 5 games where Zach Moss has had 18 or more carries. He's had 100 plus in 2 of them and 80 plus in another one. His last 2 games without Jonathan Taylor are on the rougher side, but you have to look at the defenses that he's played against. Last week, rough game against the Titans, who have literally the best rushing defense in the NFL according to DVOA. The game prior to that against the Browns, another very good rushing defense. So in this one, Zach Moss should go off, getting 100 plus rushing yards for us, cashing this play. Next up, third and final pick of the evening in the Eagles versus Cowboys game. AJ Brown, 120 plus receiving yards, plus 360 odds at DraftKings. Now, this was a game in which I'm expecting both offenses to blow up, and it was really difficult to decide what angle I wanted to go with. Now, those of you that have been following me along on my YouTube channel know that I've been riding with Dak and CD for a while now. I still think both of them are going to have monster games, but their over-unders are just so high that there really wasn't any value on pumping anything up. You would have had to pump Dak up to like 375, 400. You would have had to pump CD Lamb up to 150. Both of those things can happen. It's just a little bit more unreliable. I was also looking at Devontae Smith. He's been cooking recently, but obviously we're officially going with AJ Brown, who I think is going to go back to where he was in the beginning and / middle of the year, where he had 125 receiving yards in 6 straight games, which is an NFL record, by the way. When you break NFL records over a 6-game stretch, generally a quiet stretch is going to come. And that's what happened for the next 3 games after he broke that record. 3 quiet games in a row before having a pretty good game last week. Overall, he finished the game with 116 receiving yards, so just below what we would have needed for him to cash for us. But what I liked about AJ Brown, and the reason why I'm targeting him in this matchup, is because the Eagles really made it a point to get him involved early, even against a good defense, against a good cornerback. AJ Brown had 6 targets in the first quarter alone and had 63 receiving yards. Now, obviously, as the game went on, the game kind of unraveled from the Eagles. Their defense allowed 6 straight touchdown drives. That's not good. Their offense hit a lull as well. That lull happened in the second quarter when AJ Brown did not have a single target. And then he had 7 combined in the third and fourth quarter when the game was mostly out of reach. So in this game, I think once again, the Eagles are going to make it a point to get AJ Brown involved early. And unlike last week, I don't think the game is going to completely unravel for them. So I think he has a great chance to get to 120 receiving yards for us. If he does, we're cashing this play as our third and final pick of the evening. 3 pumped up NFL player props for you guys to lock in. If we get one of these 3 to cash, we will at least be profitable. If we get all 3 to cash, we will be rich. So let's hope for that. And that's it. So appreciate everybody for watching. Again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a good one.